Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of the Other Girls Club podcast. Now let me start off by saying you guys are very, very lucky today. I'll tell you why you're very, very lucky. That's because I secured Beyonce tickets yesterday and Kendrick Lamar tickets today. And I knew I had to film this afternoon and I was thinking, God, I really hope I get these tickets because it's a Valentine's Day episode. I want to go on the poddy. I want to talk about love. I want to be joyful and spread a bit of love. And I thought if I don't get those tickets, I will be pulling up with my mic and I will not be talking about love. I will be pulling up and I will be a bigger hater than Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl, which, by the way, can we just, for a second, incredible. I am so glad I got tickets to go see him today. First of all, I mean, we're gonna talk about that. Don't worry, we'll get into that. But I just want to talk about Kendrick for a second. Absolutely incredible performance, and there were so many layers to it as well. From the whole performance, but particularly the stage design, literally being set up like the Great American Game, playing the game, and then also Samuel Jackson being Uncle Sam. Like there was just so many levels to it, and it was just such an incredible performance. And also, he sounded amazing. Like his breath control was really, really good, and his damn bootcut jeans. Oh my god, I need to know where Kendrick got those bootcut jeans immediately. I don't know if you guys have seen that there's a load of girls on TikTok who, after seeing the Super Bowl performance, their boyfriends are now trying on their jeans. And, like, they look good. I mean, far be it from me to compliment a man, but I will compliment a good fit when I see it. And some of these men look really good in your jeans. I'm sorry, they do. Fair play to them. It was a really incredible performance from Kendrick, though. I didn't stay up to watch it like I kind of half did with the Grammys. I just watched it in the morning because I was like, I need my sleep. And it's just clear to see why he won the Portier Prize. Is that how you pronounce it? The Portier Prize? Yeah, incredible artist. I'm so excited to see him on tour this afternoon. Kendrick's going on tour this afternoon, guys. Get yourself over to Tottenham. No, he's going on tour with SZA this summer, and I'm really excited to be there. I've never ever seen him live. He's one of the last kind of like artists on my list that I like really want to check off. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But more importantly, I got my Cowboy Carter tickets. Can we all just breathe a sigh of relief, please? Right, with me? Here we go. If you guys listened in last week, you'll remember I did not talk about that damn tour. And I even said at the end of the episode, do not talk to me about the tour until I get my tickets, because I'm so scared that I won't, guys. Let me tell you. I couldn't even listen to that Cowboy Carter album for like a week. I mean, I could. I listened to it, but I listened to it with fear. I was shaking in my boots every time I pressed play. I was just so scared of not getting those tickets. And I know everyone be like, it's just a tour, it's blah, 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 blah. But, you know, like, I don't want to talk about Beyonce too much today because I spoke about music all week last week. And I want to talk more about, like, Valentine's Day and love and stuff today. But, like, you know, I love music and I love Beyonce. She's the artist of my life. And the idea of not getting to experience this tour, because first time I saw Beyonce was in 2016, the Formation World Tour. And it really did change my life. I was only... God, I can't even remember. I've lost all concept of time and age since COVID, but I think I was around like 18, 19, probably more 19. And yeah, just seeing a show on that scale and seeing an artist really dedicate themselves to their craft like that, it really did change my life, and it really opened up my perspective and my eyes to... yeah, the craft. And let me tell you about my experience getting these Cowboy Carter tickets, because I know everyone found it really hard. Everyone has said like it was really hard to get these tickets because either Ticketmaster crashed or they got kicked out, and loads of different reasons. I found it really hard to get tickets for a very specific reason, and that was because there was no like credible source around accessibility and how to get accessible specific tickets. Now, in case you guys don't know, maybe you're not familiar with the process, the way that you get accessible tickets, and if you want to go to a gig as a wheelchair user or someone with disability, whether that's like you're an ambulatory wheelchair user, or use a cane, or you need sign language, you have to get disabled specific tickets, otherwise you can't go. And there is significantly less disabled tickets than there is like average normal tickets. Which is like, okay, understandable, because like less of the population has a disability. But say for example, if you look at somewhere like Wembley, which is a 90,000 capacity stadium, I think it's literally something like 3% of the stadium is accessible seating. Like that's It's insane when you think about it. But getting the tickets themselves is really hard, not just because of that reason, but also because the information between venues varies so much, and the way you get your tickets between venues varies so much. So for example, for Wembley, you have to call up to get your tickets. You can't get your tickets for Wembley any other way. You can't get them on Ticketmaster, you can't get them online, you have to call up for Wembley. I will never forget getting my Lana Del Rey tickets this year, and I called up in the morning for the pre-sale, blah, 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 ding, 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 called up on the phone, and I was expecting to get right through because I was like, right, I got a pre-sale, like, it's, you know, I've got a code I'm gonna give them, no one else will be, like, on the pre-sale, yeah, of course, like, other people will, but it won't be, like, as bad as the general sale. It took me an hour and a half to get through to someone. Now, when I got through to someone, they were very, very helpful. They were great, couldn't fault them enough. That's not what I meant to say. What I meant, couldn't compliment them enough is what I meant to say, yeah. I couldn't fault them. Right, they were brilliant. They were really, really helpful. But it took me an hour and a half to get through to someone. I started the phone call while I was having breakfast, and by the time someone picked up, I had the phone on like Bluetooth through my car driving to physio down the M11. Like, it was, yeah, it just took so long. And then there's other venues, for example, like the O2 Arena, where you have to go through AXS. And then Tottenham used to be Ticketmaster. For the last Beyonce tour, I got my tickets on Ticketmaster, and they've changed that now because apparently Ticketmaster weren't labelling their accessible tickets correctly, and like information was getting misconstrued, which is like fair enough because you do need to make sure you get the right tickets, right? But now they're only sold through the Tottenham website directly, which, understandable. So that means you can't ring up, you have to get them through the Tottenham website directly, right? But what does that mean when you've got a pre-sale? I had access to 4 different pre-sales, and I was like, look, I need these tickets. So I rang up Tottenham and I was like, look, I've got all access to these pre-sales. You just tell me what I need to do, and like, I'll do it. I just want to get the right information. And I was told so many different things. I called up twice. One of my friends also called up twice, and they were told different things as well. I was told that, oh, no, you can't use the pre-sale for accessible tickets. And it said this on the website as well, that it would only be available on the main website in the general sale, like not in the pre-sales. And then literally the day before, I don't know why, I just had this funny feeling to check their website. Lo and behold, I went on, they changed the information. And this is what this pissed me off, right? Because I was signed up to updates from Tottenham. I got no updates. I literally had signed up, my friend had signed up for updates as well, specifically on accessibility, and I got no update about this. So I go onto the website, and now they say, like, yes, there will be accessible tickets in the pre-sale, but the link has to be provided by the pre-sale operator. So I was like, what does that even mean? Like, these words don't mean anything to me, you know? So I call up Tottenham again the day of, and I say, look, I just want to know what's going on. It's fine if I can't buy through the pre-sale. I personally think that's bad, and I would advise you to change that in the future. But if that's the way it is, just let me know, and that's fine. I'll just go to the general sale. And they said, yeah, sorry, like, you can't again. So I've been told now at this point 3 different things. And then the pre-sale is about to happen, right, for the Beehive fan club. And I think, right, let me just go on just to see. So I go to wait in the waiting room, and before I go to wait, I see a little bubble pop up, right, before you go into the waiting room, and it says all accessible tickets will be sold through the Tottenham website. Click here. So I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I can get to the tickets from here, because I couldn't just get to the tickets. They weren't showing up as available on the Tottenham website, and they won't be until like the general sale on Friday. But that's how I ended up getting in. But that was just me being like, you know what, fuck it, like, I'm just gonna try my luck and see. And I think it's really bad that disabled people can't just call up and get a straight answer, and there is just no concise information. First of all, it's really, really stressful when it's something that you really want to attend, and buying tickets has purposefully, this is for everyone now, has purposefully been made a high stress, high anxiety experience, and it encourages more panic buying, right? We kind of know that. It's been purposely designed that way. I truly think the providers like Ticketmaster could make it easier if they wanted to, but like, they don't. It works in their favour to keep it high stress. But it's also more stressful when you just don't know what you've got to do between venue, and when you kind of have to do your own research to find out how to buy a damn ticket. Buying a damn concert ticket should just not be this stressful. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, it's just a concert, it's just a ticket, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. Disabled people's experiences do matter. And disabled people are just as entitled to want to buy tickets and want to participate in culture and art just as much as anyone else should be. And that's just the troubles within getting the tickets. There are so many other issues within concert accessibility and show accessibility. Like from the accessibility of the venues themselves, from there not being enough seating, from so many different problems. One that really annoys me, but like I do kind of understand it, is so when I get an accessible ticket, right, I get a companion, a personal assistant, because like I can't go to a gig on my own, right? Like if I was to go to a gig on my own, that would be an absolute nightmare, especially if we are talking somewhere like Tottenham or Wembley or the O2. Like that is just way too many people to navigate on my own. I would not be able to do that, right? So I get a companion ticket, and I understand why they do this, because obviously we have specific wheelchair bays or platforms or whatever it is. You're only allowed one person to sit with you, and that is your companion or your PA. And I get it on the side of the things that seating in the spaces, in the arenas, in the stadiums are limited. So you need to limit how many people can have sit with them, because then if you don't limit that, then you might have someone who comes up with 6 friends, and then that is like however many other disabled people who actually need that space have lost the ability to see the show. So I get it from a logistical standpoint, but from a human who actually experiences these shows, right? I go to gigs, I absolutely love them, and I always have the best time, and I'm really grateful that I get to go to as many as I do, right? But sometimes I look at big groups of friends like having fun together. Like at Reading, I was watching people dance with their groups of friends, and I always have to split up from my group, and I can only ever be with one person. And it's a very privileged thing to complain about, I know, but like there is all like these other sides of accessibility, which sometimes I feel like I don't want to complain about that, because it is a privileged thing to complain about. But at the same time, I'm like, no, it is, you know, it is still a part of accessibility, and it is still a problem that needs to be addressed. It might not be the most important issue that disabled people are facing, but it is still an issue within the arena of accessibility. But yeah, I always feel a little bit tap away when I get separated from my friends and we can't all like sit and dance together and have an experience together. It's like when you book for the cinema, like the way that disabled people book their tickets is it's booked in a way where you are assumed to be taking a carer, or you just have like your companion with you. And I feel like that's looking at accessibility at these shows and at these different leisure activities from a very outdated viewpoint of accessibility. Because disabled people have groups of friends, disabled people want to go do things with their friends. That's really important for an individual's mental health and social well-being. And I do feel really passionate about it because, you know, like music is such a huge part of my life, and going to gigs and going to concerts, like I will never forget the first gig I went to after my injury. It was Beyonce. It was On the Run 2, her and Jay, the collab tour. And me and Dan went in Cardiff, and I would just never forget that moment of like being at that gig and being like, wow, I didn't know whether I'd be able to do this again, like when I had my injury. You know, and it's just one of those areas like music, concerts, events, stuff like that. Disability is sometimes overlooked or almost thought of as like a quota, or like you'll think like, oh yeah, but there is accessible spaces. But I do feel like a lot of venues or a lot of spaces and event holders don't actually think about the experience of a person going through that. I'll tell you one venue which I have personally found to be quite good. Obviously everyone's experiences are different, but I have always found BST, the British Summertime in Hyde Park, to be quite good. Maybe I have to do a whole other episode on like concerts and venues and stuff, but I've always found British sometimes be quite good, because like I felt like every step of the experience, for the most part anyway, was full of not just to provide access, but to provide an access and make sure that the person attending it has a bloody good time, you know, and that they're not just filling their quota, and they're not just like, oh right, yeah, the access is there. Like I really felt when I was at Hyde Park that I was really thought of. But yeah, I really want to try and make an effort this year to document more about each individual accessibility, from the booking process to the actual venue itself. I'll probably do that more on TikTok. I meant to do it last year, and then like I just completely forgot. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm not that great at TikTok because I just forget to post. I'm on it so much as a consumer that I forget to be a creator. Like that tells you something, doesn't it? But yeah, let me know if you'd like a whole podcast episode on that, or if you'd be interested in seeing more of that content, because like it is obviously something that I think I do have a lot of experience in. But anyway, enough of that. Love is in the air. Everywhere I look around, it's Valentine's Day week. Although I do feel, so this is Wednesday, I'm recording this the day before it like goes live because I wanted it to be as like current as possible. But I do feel like I've not seen as much Valentine's Day stuff this year. I don't know why. Maybe it's just more the circles that I'm in and the content that I'm actively consuming. I have seen way more Galentine's Day stuff. Like all of the marketing that is being directed at me is about Galentine's. The thing that makes me laugh about Valentine's Day, right, is I feel like it kind of has really ballooned because there's a lot of women who don't have a partner to celebrate with on Valentine's Day, or their partners aren't that big into Valentine's Day, especially straight women, but they still really want to partake in Valentine's Day and they think it's really cute and whatever, so they've turned to their female friendships and they're like, do you know what, yeah, I'm going to celebrate love, I'm going to celebrate the people around me, whether that is like a platonic or romantic. And part of me is, yeah, well, that's just marketing and capitalism because like women drive consumerism like in the Western world. And another part of me is like, do you know what, like, fucking good for you. I think if you've got a boyfriend who is just like, oh, Valentine's Day is shit, like it means nothing, like it's corporate greed, and like they're so anti-Valentine's Day, knowing that you are, and you go, yeah, do you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go spend it with my girls, I'll spend Valentine's Day with my girls then. Good on you. But the thing is, right, not all men, but most men, the general consensus, right, in like society, it's like a lot of men have been telling women for years that Valentine's is stupid. Oh, I show you I love you. I can show you I love you every day of the year. Blah 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 blah. It's stupid. I don't want to do it. And then women have turned around and then gone, yeah, I'm okay, I'll spend it with my girls then. And then men will then turn back around and be like, oh, Valentine's is stupid. This is why you're lonely. This is why you're going to die alone. This is why you're single, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, women cannot win. And look, I will be the first person to be like, yeah, Valentine's is very clearly been... I don't actually know where Valentine's Day originates from. Maybe I should find that out before I make this point. But I'm going to do it after anyway because it's my podcast and I'll do what I like. But I will be the first person to say, yeah, I think Valentine's Day is just... Obviously, it's another capitalistic holiday, isn't it? It's another chance to market things to people and sell things and, you know, yada, yada, yada. We all know that. And I think you can acknowledge that and also want to participate in it. I really, really hate it when I see men who just absolutely shit all over their girlfriends because they want a bunch of flowers or they want to go out for dinner on Valentine's Day, and you'll get like some dusty ass man turn around and be like, oh, we could go for dinner any day of the year. I'll buy you flowers any day of the year. Well, do you? Do you buy her flowers any day of the year? Do you randomly take her out for dinner any day of the year? Do you surprise her? Do you make a point to show declarations of love any day, random day of the year? If you do, okay, fair play. But I think if you did, your girlfriend would not be so desperate, desperate is a bad word, but your girlfriend would not be so eager to celebrate Valentine's Day. And I think even if you did think it was stupid, right, if you are with someone and you know they love Valentine's Day and you know they love the idea of it, and even if you know yourself, this is just a capitalistic holiday and I don't really like it, blah, 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 if it makes your partner excited, if it ignites your partner and it makes them happy, why would you not just want to do it a little bit, you know? Most people aren't asking for the world, they're just asking for some flowers, you know, or just a little bit extra attention. If you have someone in your life that you really love and you cherish and you want to make them happy, why would you not want just an opportunity to do that for them? I don't understand it. Like, yes, everyone knows Valentine's Day is just another capitalistic holiday to drive marketing and make more money. But also, flowers make your girlfriend happy. A little bit of a declaration of love makes your girlfriend happy. To spend dinner together makes her happy. And most women as well aren't asking for really expensive gifts. They're not asking for the world. It's just that little bit of a reminder of that declaration of love. And you can do that in so many ways that don't cost the world. You can do it without spending any money. You can do that through the act of attention and devotion and committing your time to someone and, you know, cooking dinner for them. You don't have to buy the rumpus steak or whatever it is, the most expensive salmon, or you can tell I'm not a foodie, I don't know much about food, but you don't have to go and buy the most expensive red wine in order to have a romantic dinner with your partner. There are so many ways that you can show romance and that you can show love and you can make Valentine's Day special without spending an arm and a leg. And if you are so hung up on, yeah, oh, but it's a capitalistic holiday and blah, 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 get creative. Get creative and find a way to make this day just a little bit more special for your partner and make that declaration of love without spending money. It really pisses me off because I think there are so many women out there who have like almost like a little bit of shame of wanting to like partake in Valentine's Day. And I see so many partners who's like, they put their girlfriends down because they want to do Valentine's Day. And I think being on Twitter, ironically, being on Twitter has shown me all of the ways that you can make a declaration of love and show a bit of romance and be, you know, a little bit, ooh, to your partner. I think... I can't think of the words. That was all I could think of to say. Ironically, being on Twitter has showed me so many ways that you can get creative and that you can make a declaration of love and give your partner a little bit of love and attention. Whether that is in big ways, small ways, expensive, inexpensive, whatever it is. Because yeah, Twitter is a cesspit of a website which is just full of Nazi sympathisers and, you know, just horrific people. But also, there is a side of it which is like very normal people. And a lot of people who are, I've seen so many people like sharing their, you know, like proposals. And then there's people who've like been in relationships for years, but their partner still asks them to be their Valentine. Now, I'm not saying that's necessary in order for you to prove that you love your partner. But if you know your partner is into that stuff, it's just nice, isn't it? I saw a really cute tweet the other day of this couple who went to, what was it, like a flipagram. So you know you get like a flip book where you basically have like 100 pictures or whatever it is, and then you flip through it and it basically is like a moving picture, like Polaroid or whatever it is. They went to one of those and they made like a flipagram of them dancing and then kissing, and it was really, really sweet. And obviously there are just some women and some people in general who are just not into romance and all of that declaration of love stuff, and you know that's absolutely fine, but you should be on a level with your partner where either you're both on the same level or you're at a level where you can compromise. Because I don't think romance is a bad thing to desire. I think it's wrong to put it at the forefront of your focus, and if it's like all you can focus on, then yeah, obviously that is a problem. And obviously in a realistic grown-up relationship, every day of your relationship isn't going to be romantic. But there is nothing wrong with wanting to sprinkle a little bit of romance into your life and into your relationship. And I don't want to generalise, but I do think there is some, not all, but some women who kind of say like, oh, or they kind of convince themselves, or they say like, oh no, I'm not into romance and I'm not into, you know, Valentine's Day and all of that lovely stuff, because one, it makes them vulnerable. And women are already so vulnerable to misogyny and, you know, so much throughout their life. And also as well, because it is another thing that women are just told is, oh, it's stupid, it's girly, it's sissy, like it's cheesy. And so I think a lot of women go, okay, yeah. And they push it down and they repress it that they don't want it. Now, it's not me saying every woman deep down actually wants romance and desire, because look, I'll be honest. This is me talking from experience here. I never used to think that I was a romantic person. I used to think that I wasn't a lover girl. Throughout my life, I have been quite guarded, especially in relationships, and I have been very like, oh no, that's cheesy, I don't want that, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it takes me a while to be vulnerable with someone like that romantically. But I will tell you what really changed my mind and what really made me realise I was 100% a lover girl through and through, and I didn't even realise it. And that wasn't even a romantic relationship. It was, one, allowing myself to fall in love with life and the world around me, and two, allowing myself to see my platonic relationships as love. Because they are. I think that realisation that love doesn't just come in romantic relationships, it really did wonders to the way that I perceive love. Because I absolutely love making those declarations of love to my friends. I love it when, you know, I see something that reminds me of Dan and, you know, I get it. Or I'd see there's tickets going on sale and I think like, oh, I'll get those for Could I? I'll make sure I'm in Could I go to that? And, you know, and then in small ways as well that cost nothing. Sometimes I hear a song and I'll send it to one of my friends. I'll be like, this made me think of you. And, you know, all of these little and small ways that really made me be able to see love throughout my life. And yeah, I didn't know it for years, but I am 100% a lover girl through and through. And it took me till I was like 27, 28 to realise that. I spent so many of my years being like, no, like, oh, I'm not into like romance and love and blah, 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 blah. And I truly believed that. Like, I genuinely believed that's like who I was. And then I allowed myself to generally really feel that real vulnerable love. And I don't even just mean in a romantic sense. Like, I have felt it romantically as well, yes. But honestly, a lot of it came from platonic friendships. And a big, big moment for me that I knew that I really, really loved my friends, like truly deeply like family, was not only because of the way that they treated me, it was when I noticed the way that they allow me to treat other people. When I noticed that being around them and having them as a part of my life allowed me to be more vulnerable. It allowed me to open up more. It allowed me to access that softer side of myself. You know, I realised that I wasn't only receiving so much love, I was giving love. And for me, for a lot of my life, that's been a really hard thing to do. As someone who's grown up very guarded, because, you know, the relationship that I'd had with my mother and just past trauma and things like that. Look, we've all got that stuff, right? We've all got the stuff that has made our guards go up. And for me, I've just spent a lot of my life with my guard up. And it was the love from my friends that made me realise that I am a lover girl through and through. And I think that's so beautiful. And do you know what is really ironic as well is it's literally a parallel line between me being the most single I have ever been and realising this. I am the most single that I have ever been throughout my life, and yet I have never felt more loved. I have been in multiple relationships and dated people and been in situationships where, you know, I'd had people at my side and I'd always had a partner that I could maybe like go to or call up or lean on, but a lot of the time I never felt loved. And that was partly because maybe like it was just a bad situation, it was a bad relationship, and then part of that was because also I didn't let the love in. And now I'm single, and I think a lot of the time as well, like there's so much rhetoric, and you guys know if you follow me on Instagram, I talk so much about, you know, choosing to be single, especially as a woman who is approaching 30 now and not wanting to get married and all of that sort of stuff, being child free. There is still this rhetoric in society that if you are single, you don't have love in your life. And for me, it's been the complete opposite. I have never been more single in my life, and yet I have never ever felt more loved, and I've never ever given more love. I think growing up someone who was very guarded, knew someone who does, you know, have these experiences with trauma, you know, from my family and also from, you know, relationships and other things that I've been through. I think a lot of the time throughout my life, I've known that I was loved. Like I felt it in my head that I was loved. I knew that I was loved, but I think I've spent a lot of my life not really feeling loved, which is a really sad thing to say when you say it out loud. Because it's two very different things to know that you're loved and to feel that you're loved. And I feel like maybe that is the reminder that a lot of people who, look, there are going to be a lot of your boyfriends and a lot of your partners, so I'm really generalising men here because look, all the lesbians I know at least cannot wait to show their girlfriend that they love them. They damn really do Valentine's Day 365 days of the year. Like, you know, you do not have to show a lesbian how to do Valentine's Day. Not to generalise, obviously. But yeah, as I was saying, I think there are going to be a lot of your partners, in brackets boyfriends, who just suck. They suck. And I think a lot of girls, and we don't talk about this enough, right? A lot of boyfriends secretly hate their girlfriends. There are a lot of your boyfriends that secretly hate you. They are preying on your downfall, and I hate to see it. I see it in, look, don't get me wrong, I see some lovely, lovely hetero relationships, and I see some relationships that make me go, okay. And I'm meant to be the sad one for being single? Okay, your relationship is my worst nightmare. And I think those men, those people in general will never change. Because if they are not actively getting involved in something like that, you will enjoy it and it will make your day happy and it will, you know, just make you joyful and it will bring your relationship closer together. If they are actively not getting involved in that, despite it not being a big burden to them, other than the fact that they don't expressively love it, I don't think a lot of those people will change. I think that it's, you know, it's not that they don't understand, it's that they don't want to. And they put their own experience over yours. Whereas I do think there are probably a lot of other partners who just don't understand the difference between knowing that you're loved and feeling that you're loved. I think it's not enough to know that you're loved. You really need to feel it. And we're all carrying around our own shit, you know, whether it's from childhood, whether it's from school, whether it's, you know, your experiences at work, whatever it is, we've all got our own baggage. And sometimes in this world that we live in, it can be really hard to feel the love, so to speak. And I just think, why would you not want to take that opportunity to show someone that you really love, that you do love them? I think to wake up every day with love in your heart is such a beautiful experience, and love has saved me over and over again. Love has changed my life. Allowing love into my life has changed my life. It has changed my relationships, platonic and romantic. It has changed my dynamics. It has changed the way that even I greet people who work on my concierge, the way I interact with the shoppers at Waitrose. Love is so much more than, you know, our romantic relationships. Love does so much to the human experience, and I just think, why would you not want to help someone that you claim to love experience that more and more every day? And you get this one day to really go all out. You get this one day where everyone's doing it. You're being given a day to just do it. Why would you not want to? And yeah, while that over-marketing capitalist side of it, of the holiday, might be annoying, I think really, in this world that we're living in right now, we need love more than ever. We truly, truly do. I feel like we touched upon this in my episode with David Larbury where we spoke about joy. We spoke about joy as this thing that people think is frivolous and a luxury, but it's not. Joy is absolutely essential to the human experience. And likewise, love is not frivolous. And we've said before, there are so many other types of love. There's romantic, platonic, there is, love and passion for arts and for your career, for your job, love of community, love of God if that's what you believe in, love of nature, love of family. There are so many different forms of love, but at the crux of it, love is the only thing we have left when everything else feels pointless. There's that quote from Love Actually where he says the opening quote, he says something like, all of the voicemails, all the phone calls on, from the planes on the day of 9/11 weren't phone calls of hate. They weren't ringing people that they hated. They weren't ringing their enemies. They were ringing people that they loved. That's who they reached out to in that moment. And I always think back to when my accident happened. I remember being on the floor and, it was a really scary time. I didn't know if I was going to make it to the next day. And the first thing I did was call for my dad. First thing I'd said is, I need my dad, I want my dad. And then when my dad was there, I was then I need Dan, get Dan here, It's in those moments of desperation that we really realise that love is the most important thing. And yes, sometimes it might be a little bit cringy. It might be, forced upon us in a really tacky red and pink marketing scheme. But that's not all love is. And I think if you are getting fixated on seeing love as this thing that it's marketed as, you are really missing out and you are really not doing your own experience on this earth a service. Because not only has love become such an integral part of my individual experience, and in my own life as me, Sophie Butler, an individual person, it really has become the root point and the bedrock foundation of all of my political and social beliefs. At the end of the day, no matter what issue it is, whether we're thinking about homelessness or whether we're thinking about school meals, education, all of this stuff, I'm learning new things all the time and we are constantly educating and changing our minds on so many things, so many different issues. But at the root of all of it, no matter what issue it is, I want love and compassion and empathy to be at the centre of all of it. And I think maybe that's where we're getting it wrong as humans. Maybe we're not even realising we're getting it wrong, but maybe that's where we are getting it wrong when we're teaching love and when we're teaching kids and ourselves, me, a 28-year-old, having this realisation only a couple of years ago. Maybe this is where we're getting it wrong, where I grew up thinking that love was, what you see in the princess movies and what you see in rom-coms and you hear about on the radio in love songs and all of that sort of thing. But now I realise that love really is a radical political belief. One of the bravest and probably the most public declarations of love I've seen this year so far is that really brave bishop who stood in front of Donald Trump and, asked him to have empathy and forgiveness for people who are very scared that he has come into power. People who are demonised in so many different ways. I'm thinking particularly of immigrants and people of colour. Trans people as well. And to her to stand in front of this very powerful, very aggressive man, this man could have his whole mob turn against her in the click of a tweet, and he bloody did do that. But knowing all of that, she stood in front of him and she made this declaration of love to all of these people that she doesn't even know. To me, that is what love is. Yes, love can be found at a wedding day. Love can be found on an anniversary. Love can be found in a bouquet of roses on Valentine's Day. But it can also be found in a bishop standing up to a president and saying, have empathy, have mercy on people that she doesn't even know. And I think maybe that's the love that right now is needed the most. Love for people that you don't even know. Love for people who just need to feel it. Love that you have for other people just because they are humans, just like you are. Love that isn't conditional based on the worth that they bring in financially. Love that isn't based on their documentation status. Love that isn't based on whether if they're a trans person, if they pass or not. Love that just exists because they are your fellow person. And I used to think it was really corny when I grew up, and it was all like, love will heal the world, love is all you need. And like, I used to think, okay, yeah, all right, sure it is. What about all of these structural changes and, you know, in like infrastructure and financial aid and all of these things? And yes, you absolutely need that. I'm not sitting here as a idealist wishy-washy saying love will heal the world, kumbaya. Not sitting here as, you know, someone like that who is completely just an idealist. But I am sitting here as someone whose own individual life has been changed, and my will to live and the way that I see the world has been changed through love, not just receiving it but also giving it. And I think there are so many communities, you know, near and far, who need that right now. Love is a powerful thing, and hey, if you just want to be a fucking sad ass and not buy your girlfriend a bouquet of roses on Valentine's Day because you think love is too corny, shame on you. Shame on you. I think you're missing out. You think you are missing out. I think every day that you get to show a declaration of love to, whether it's someone you love or someone in the street, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the day that I say, no, I can't be asked to put more love into the world, put me fucking down. Just put me down. I feel like I really went on a rant and got on my soapbox then, but if I can't get on my soapbox on my own damn podcast, where else can I? But I'm just saying, I think we need to think of love less as something that we give and receive, and more as just a way that we live our lives, a code that we live our lives by. But yeah, if you want this to do Valentine's Day with your partner and they couldn't even be asked to buy you some flowers, comment, let me know. Let me know, I'll send you some damn flowers. I love flowers, they brighten up a room, don't they? Oof. I really love it when you get my, one of my local supermarkets I've seen they do like a bouquet of orange roses. How intriguing to have like a bouquet of orange roses in your dining room, your living room. It just really brightens up a room. And I think it's one of those things, like, you know how we kind of have like, we had like our big whole societal shift a few years ago about how now like it's okay for girls to like the colour pink, and a load of girls were like reclaiming the colour pink. I think we are seeing another resurgence now of women who are, at least I've seen it like around my age, my sort of like demographics, where women are reclaiming the right to be a lover girl and the right to not be embarrassed of wanting to give and receive love. And I think that's really, really so beautiful. And my only hope is that lover people find other lover people. Look, there are some of you out there that are not lovers. You're not lover girls, you're not lover boys, you are not lovers to your core. And hey, that's you, that's your prerogative. But I really just hope we are now in an age moving forward, let's just let the lovers get together. Because some of you are in relationships wasting so much of that love. You've got so much love to give. And there's so much love that you could be receiving. And some of you just aren't compatible. The way that you give and receive love just isn't compatible. But what did we say earlier, lovelies? It's not enough to know that you are loved. You need to feel it. You can quote me on that one. Actually don't, because I think I might have taken it from someone else. I read a romance book. That's another thing, right? How do you guys feel about romance books? Because I will be honest, as much as I'll sit here and I'll talk for like 45 minutes about how I'm a lover girl, this, that, whatever, love's at the core of everything I do. I don't really like romance books. I don't read a lot of them. I know everyone right now is really into, I feel like all of a sudden out of nowhere, a load of the girls are just reading smut. Now, that's not a new thing. Like, I have frequented the Wattpad in my my teenage years. Like, fan fiction's always been a thing, right? But I feel like maybe it's just made it big because of TikTok. It's made it to the literature mainstream. Sometimes I'll be talking to some of my girl mates, and it's really funny for me because I don't read a lot of fiction. So they'll sometimes recommend me a book, and it will just be like pure like romance pornography. And I'm like, girly pops, you're reading that in public? You're reading that on the train to work? You are God's strongest soldier. My anxious ass would not let me. I was listening to a book because I do a mixture of like reading physical copies and doing audiobooks as well. And I did actually listen to an audiobook the other day because I really fell in love with last year a book called The 7-Year Slip. You probably know it. It was really huge on TikTok. The author is Ashley Poston. I think that's her. Yeah, Ashley Poston or Poston? Ashley Poston, I'm going to settle on. And I really, really loved The 7-Year Slip. As someone who I don't really like a lot of romance books because as much as I am a lover girl and, you know, all of that stuff, I don't really like the cheesy romance and the way it's written. For me, like, love has to really be believable when I'm reading it in my literature, when I'm seeing it in my material. I'll give you an example. Bridgerton season 1, I didn't enjoy it because I didn't believe the relationship. I didn't believe their dynamic. I didn't see it. I didn't see that love for each other in the dynamic, right? Whereas season 2, Bridgerton, oh, from the get-go, I was in Lover Girl heaven in season 2 of Bridgerton. I believed that relationship. I believed that enemies to lover down. Oh my God, the chemistry that those two actors, Jonathan Bailey and Ashley Simone, had was quite literally insane. Even now when they pop up to do cameos in the new seasons, I'm just like, oh my God, they steal the screen. That their relationship on screen is so believable. And I really felt like their characters were written so well and their romance was written so well because, and also very important for the time as well, because romance in the time that Bridgerton is set really takes a back seat to marriage for the family, marriage for respectability, marriage for business or whatever it is. You know, the whole show might be about getting married and partnering, but in a lot of those dynamics, love is really one of the last things on people's mind. Doesn't even one of the characters say in the new season that a love match is like very, very rare? And so I think when you had the characters of Jonathan Bailey's character and Ashley Simone's character, the two lovelies in Bridgerton season 2, they didn't just make a good pair, they absolutely did, but they really understood each other through and through. They saw each other for who they really were, and they saw what each other needed. They saw what each other what support each other needed, and they knew how to give it. And I think that is so important. So yeah, anyway, The 7 Year Slip was one of my favourite romance books that I've read, at least in like recent history, because I don't read a lot and I have to really believe like the relationship. And what I really loved about The 7 Year Slip is it had a sort of like fantasy, but not completely fantasy, more sort of like sci-fi, I almost guess, element to it. Like there's a time travelling apartment, which sounds ridiculous, but it really works. It's really well written. And she writes a lot about grief through her books, Ashley Poston. And she really intertwines her writings of grief and her writings with love. And I think that's really, really powerful. Because what is grief if not love persevering? You know, the two concepts are very, very similar. But because of our fear of death as humans and as a society, we often don't write about love in that way. So I really like the way Ashley does that. And The 7 Year Slip was just wrote really, really well. I read one of her follow-ups or another one of her books. I don't know if it was written before or after. I listened to it the other day and it wasn't quite as good as The 7 Year Slip. But again, grief was a very big part of it, a huge part of it. It's kind of like the driving point of the plot really, whereas in the other one it wasn't so much. It wasn't the central theme. I wouldn't say it was anyway. I completely forgot why I brought up this point. Oh yes, so my friend's reading like smutty romance books, right? So this is what made me think of it. It's what made me bring it up. My brain is just not working today because I was listening to this Ashley Poston book on the tube, and obviously it's an audio book and no one else can hear it but me, but all of a sudden we get into sex scene territory, and there had not been one up until this point in the book. In The 7 Year Slip, there was a few more quite early on. There hadn't been one yet, but there happened to be one while I was going through Whitechapel on the Elizabeth line. Now, I don't know if you've ever gone through Whitechapel on the tube, but it's not the optimum place to listen to a sex scene. And I was literally clinging onto the pole on the tube like, oh my Christ. Everyone here knows I'm listening to a sex scene in an audiobook. They can see it on my face, they can hear it, and there was just so much Catholic guilt going on inside of me, I did not know what to do with it. And it makes me laugh how there are just or like so many people now who are just reading books which is like pure porn, and sometimes you'll see it. Like I feel like Book Talk is really kind of like or at least partly responsible for this, and I really want to get my friend Jack Edwards on the podcast to talk about, you know, his perspective on like Book Talk and its influence on literature and stuff like that, and the books that are very much like their descriptors are by tropes. I find that very interesting. But yeah, I can't wait to have him on to discuss that. But I do think it's interesting now how like you'll see descriptions of books and it will literally just be like enemies to lovers or like, you know, like different descriptors, and it's almost like the way people categorize porn. Is that like dramatic to say? But yeah, the book that I read last week was The Dead Romantics, and then the one that I really, really loved that I read last year from Ashley Poston was The 7 Year Slip. If you haven't read either of them, read The 7 Year Slip or listen to 7 Year Slip. I really loved it. I thought it was beautiful. If you've read The 7 Year Slip and you really enjoyed it, you will probably like The Dead Romantics. I just didn't. It didn't live up to the expectation of The 7 Year Slip for me personally, but you might really love it. But I do have one bitchy thing to say about Valentine's Day. I saw it on Twitter. Oh my God, shook me to my core. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was someone took a picture of it in a card shop, and it was like cards for Valentine's Day, and it was for my work wife, for my work husband. I'm sorry, what the fuck? Someone call HR right now, because what on Beyonce's internet have I just seen? I'm sorry, excuse me, say that again, I must have misheard. Oh, I didn't. Right, okay. Right, yep, okay. Someone call HR immediately. Work husband, work wife. I think the fuck not. Please wrap this up. Please wrap this up. I just can't. Maybe I'm bitter because I'm self-employed, right? And I've got no one to come give me work wife or work husband. Or the idea of someone... Sorry, now I'm thinking about the idea, do I like the idea of being someone's work husband? That kind of a... No, Sophie, you're opening up loads of gender identity questions there. And we don't have time to unpack that. You've already chatted too much tonight. Work husband, work wife, what is this? Wrap it up, now, immediately. And the question I normally finish this podcast with every week is, if it's just me, I ask myself, how am I chasing joy this week? Or if I have a guest, I normally ask them how they're chasing joy this week. I'm going to change that. This week, I want to know, what declarations of love are you making? I'll tell you mine. Firstly, my declarations of love this week, I broke my damn back and my little fingers, tippy tippies, on my laptop getting everyone their damn Beyonce tickets. No one asked me for a damn thing for the rest of the week. I did my dues. But no, seriously, my declaration of love this week, I am waiting. One of my favourite shows, Yellow Jackets, comes back on Valentine's Day, right? On the 14th. I'm not watching it because I'm waiting to see the first episode on the 15th with the boys, two of my friends, when they are free. And I know it's only going to be like a 24-hour wait, right? But I've waited for this show for 2 years to come back. So wait in 24 hours so that I can watch it with them and I can spend that moment with them. That is a declaration of love in itself. I want to know, how are you declaring love? How are you showing love? How are you going to allow yourself to receive more love? Tell me this week, I want to know, how are you letting more love either into your life or putting it out into the universe? As corny as that sounds, I want to know. Because there is nothing more important than love. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you in next week's one. We have a guest for next week's episode. It's already pre-recorded and I just know you're absolutely going to love that episode. The guest is incredible. I can't wait for you to hear it. But yeah, I'll see you next week for that episode and I will see you on socials in the meantime. Hope take care of yourself. I hope you show and receive love at every opportunity that you get this week. And I hope you get all of the Beyonce tickets that you want. Bye. Thanks for listening.